Hey.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, Bryan. Thanks for having
Oh,
me.
this is, you know what? There was a comment here, and I just want to show this comment for a minute. And hey, everyone, been looking forward to this. You know what? I have been too, for two very, very good reasons. One, Sarah being my co-host today, and Miranda being our guest, because it's us today.
I'm a big fan
Are
of
you?
Miranda
Are
Young.
you?
Yeah,
So
goes
you
by
know what?
turns.
Oh, I really enjoy watching her lives. We were talking before we came on live. She had a guest not too long ago that me and Lex have had a guest here. He's been our guest here, and that's Michael Wong, and a great guy. But I really enjoy watching her shows. There's something, Miranda. I'm going to say this, and she's in the back and she's smiling. I'm going to say this. There's something about Miranda that's very infectious. I I'm not, and I swear that's all good. That's a major compliment. It really is, and I just enjoy watching her shows. And I know Nando likes watching her shows too.
He does. Yeah.
Probably not for the same reasons I do,
No,
but
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 I'll take
that's
it because she's
okay.
gorgeous.
What's that?
I'll take it because she's gorgeous. It's driving that Harley Davidson about. She's super
uh,
cool, isn't she? Can you
uh,
imagine her in slow mo, like taking the helmet off and flicking the hair?
I think she's
She's
most
like
guys'
the girls.
dream, isn't she? I think
Yeah,
she's most guys' dream. Like
so cool.
she's in the paranormal.
Uh
First things
huh.
first, she has a haunted location. Second thing, she drives a motorcycle, or sorry, not drives, rides a motorcycle. Like, I think she's most men's dream.
Yeah, she's pretty cool, and she could probably kick your butt as well. Yeah, she's strong.
Well, I don't want to find that out. But no, like the comment in the room, like, I've been looking forward to this all week, and I said this. Because I've had Nando the last couple of weeks, and when he spoke to me about, what, we should ask Miranda, yeah, and I said, not a problem, for sure. So, but I said, Nando, I'd rather have a girl as a host for this one, because I really want to show, because obviously, Sarah, because last year, or 2 years ago, actually, I think it's almost 2 years ago, we had, or no, it was a year and a half ago, we had Women Investigate too,
Yeah,
right? And I really wanted to display the women in the paranormal field, because there are a lot of women in the paranormal field that are just as strong, if not stronger, than men.
yeah,
Um, and like I always say, when I go out on an investigation, I'd rather be with a woman than a guy. And there's a reason for that, is because I think women are a lot more sensitive when it comes to spirits. That's my opinion. Um, I think men, I'm not saying all men, and sorry, men, I'm going to say this. I think sometimes men can be a little bit aggressive than a woman is. I guess depending on the woman, but and I just feel that women are major important in this field, and that's why I wanted to have a woman co-host with me today. The women
oh,
power. We're going to be showing the women power today, and I think it's important
yeah,
myself.
definitely.
What do you
Yeah,
think? What are your
yeah.
thoughts?
Well, we can have a Bryan sandwich. There we go. Miranda, Sarah, and Bryan.
So how you been?
Yeah.
What's been going on? Anything going on?
Well, yeah, pretty much loads actually. Little Joe, well, from Portal to the Paranormal.
Yeah.
Remember little Joe? You met her
Yeah.
with the glasses. She got married yesterday,
Wow.
and yeah, we went to her wedding reception,
How
and I
dare
tell you
her?
what,
How dare her get married?
it was like gorgeous. She looked absolutely gorgeous, and let's say that the Portal to the Paranormal team, we know how to party. We were on
Yeah.
that dance floor, busting some moves. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I've as you know, I've done the marriage thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't really for me.
That's not the cake. No, I'm joking.
What did you say? What?
I gotta get off the cake. Get married, bake cake, don't you? I'm a baker.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
you know,
No,
I the marriage and me didn't really mix, to be honest.
because you haven't met the right one. I've already told you who your future wife is, Bryan.
Who?
She sat in the green room.
Okay.
I told you.
Oh Lord, no, that's funny. But anything else going on other than Joe's wedding?
Yeah, Groundlands Theatre in July. Looking
Cool.
forward to that one. Yeah, so
Very
that
cool.
was like a school back in the day for underprivileged children in Portsmouth, and we've sold quite a few tickets for that one. There's still more tickets available as well.
Now this is the junior paranormal
Oh
investigation.
no, that's
When's the junior one?
oh gosh, when is that?
Because I think it's a fabulous
August.
idea what you guys
In
did
August.
in August. Now, for people that are new to here or new to the room and don't probably don't know this if you're new, obviously, but Portal to the Paranormal is putting on an event for the younger kids in August. To teach them about the paranormal, and I think it's a great idea. I think it's like a junior paranormal investigation.
It's nothing too hard. It's more of a
No.
workshop, really. And I think as parents, you have to pick it's for children that have what ages? I think it was from 9+.
Yeah.
And I think you have to know your child well to understand that if you're looking for something that can help them,
Yeah.
if they're into the paranormal, then that's a great way through. But it's nothing going to be like too OTT, if you know
So
what
hopefully
I
you
mean.
don't have any kids running out of there screaming and yelling.
No, otherwise we'll have a few black eyes, isn't it?
Damage them for the rest of their
Yeah,
lives.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's funny. Well, there's not a heck of a lot going on my side. Obviously, I know a lot of my friends know, a lot of people know who know me. Obviously my birthday's tomorrow.
Yeah.
And Nando was, nice to say happy 60th, which I thought was really nice of him. No, I'm not turning 60, but no, other than that, there's not a heck of a lot going on. Obviously, we're doing stuff for the Global Ghost Hunt, and there will be a new team. Well, a team that was in May. Their thumbnails should be going up soon, so we're having teams sign up, which is great. So if you're definitely interested in signing up your location, or if you're a team, you definitely want to go over to www.globalghosthunt.com. Maybe we'll convince Miranda to sign up her location and get a team in there.
We're on the right
Well,
line.
I know
you're
the stalker.
Same
You're the stalker.
Uh-huh.
So you're good at doing this. You're good at convincing people.
Try my best.
Yes, I know. You do a wonderful stalking job. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with a little bit of stalking. And
I like to see it as homework, Bryan.
Okay, if that's how you want to phrase it, sure, it's homework. That's awesome. But shall we get to our guest?
Let's bring her on, shall we?
Are you no? In your show, do you guys normally talk at the beginning, or do you just bring your guests right away?
I throw a few bits out there just to fluff up the punters, but then I just bring them straight on.
You do what?
I do like a little intro.
Fluff up the what?
Fluff them up.
Okay, you guys completely understand why I brought Sarah on the show today. So she's a lot of fun, and obviously I've been on their show, Portal to the Paranormal. We should make an announcement though, starting next Monday, or is it tomorrow? Tomorrow. Yeah. Nando and Rob start their new show.
Yeah, I'm excited.
The Shadow
about
Podcast, I believe it's called.
Yeah, definitely.
And I will be a guest on that show next week. They're already booking up I've seen a lot of postings on Facebook. It looks like they've already booked up the summer.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. I don't do
Yeah.
that. I don't do that at all. Mine's like the week before. I'll message them and say, "Listen, are you interested in coming on the show?" Yeah. Okay, great. There you go. There, you're booked. So
Oh,
I don't like to book too far in advance, to be honest. And I would love to know who this Facebook user is, because there's a lot of Facebook users coming in. Unfortunately, we're not seeing that. So whoever this is, if you can say your name, that would be great. Here's something else. We were talking about your paranormal investigation coming up in August. So they were talking about that. That's great. Thank you.
awesome.
Thank you for everybody that's in
Thank
the room
you.
today.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah. So this is York Waters. So you know I'm here in northern mountains of Georgia listening, my friend. Oh, that's cool. Very
Oh,
nice.
wow.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. Watching. Yeah. I'm starting on my words today. Is that my age?
No.
Yeah, I think that's my age. My God, I'm stuttering on my words today. So today we have a really, really cool guest. She actually has a podcast on Parapost 2. And obviously she also, and this is what I find really, really cool. She has a haunted location. It's a museum. It's called the Scotts County Jail.
Yep.
And obviously she has her own paranormal group. We're going to get into all that today.
Yeah.
So called the Ghost
many
Biker
things.
Explorations. So
Yeah.
let's bring her up. And here is Miranda Young. There
Hey
you go.
guys,
How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How about you?
I am completely disorganized right now. I forgot my phone. I forgot my water. I am completely disorganized, and I have nothing. So I tomorrow's my birthday, and I think I'm feeling like I'm 60.
Nando jinxed the show.
Nando definitely jinxed me. So yeah, I don't have my phone. I never forget this stuff. But anyways, other than that, I was just so looking forward to the show today, and I think that's one of the reasons. And obviously having you, Miranda, and having Sarah as well, as people that I get to speak to today, and we're gonna have a lot of fun doing this. So I want to thank you for coming up today. I really, really appreciate it. I know you're busy, and I know you were working today, so we won't keep you around too long. How about that? So, because I know you got to do a tour tonight, or is it just a paranormal investigation?
It's an investigation. Yeah, we have investigations here at the jail on Thursdays through Sunday nights, and so we've got a team of 3 that's coming tonight to investigate. So
cool.
so it's much later.
Oh, very good. You know what? And it's true what I said. You're a man's dream. You really are a man's dream.
She is, Bryan.
And I will say this, like being in the paranormal, riding a motorcycle, and owning a haunted location. That's any man that's in the paranormal has got to be going, okay, I need to meet this girl.
Material right there.
Well, I'm like you, Bryan. I've tried the marriage thing and been there, done that. Got the T-shirt hidden away somewhere in my closet, and it's kind of one of those check off the list things. Maybe probably never do again. But
that was on my bucket list. And you know how we all have a bucket list, and so we go in there, we accomplish it, then we leave.
That's right.
So that's really what happened with my marriage.
That's a true bucket list thing. You know, you do it, you're satisfied, you go, move on.
Yeah.
The right ones. That's all it is.
Definitely the wrong one for me.
Well, definitely the wrong one for me. But I will say something that came out of that relationship or that marriage. The only thing good that came out of that marriage was my son. So I love my son. My son's actually here, and I should have brought him. I should have told him to come in, but so everybody can see my son, because I'm always talking about him. So, marriage, yeah. Yeah, that's all I got to say about marriage. And like I think with Nando and with Sarah, they were lucky. They were lucky. They found each
Absolutely.
other, and they have a good relationship. They have 3 incredible boys that I'm sure are going to be very, very successful under the guidance of Nando and Sarah. And it seems like your oldest one is on that step because he's involved in the military, and which is scary for a mom, but proud for a father.
Wow. That's another story. That's a whole other show.
Yeah. So, obviously, and I've seen you on previous shows, and I think the general question when you start, talking to somebody like in a forum like this is when we're speaking to somebody that's involved in the paranormal, we really like to ask and how they got involved. So what is your origin story on how you got involved in the paranormal?
Sure. So, again, first off, thank you so much for having me on. And when I saw that Sarah was going to be the co-host, I was absolutely elated. So thank you all again. So for me, really, I got involved in the paranormal at a young age, and I really kind of come at it from more of a storytelling side of things, the folklore. I grew up here in East Tennessee, here in the Appalachian Mountains. And that's one of the places, where storytelling is something, and carrying on that oral tradition is something that's extremely important. I live next door to my grandmother, and so I was down there every day, and she was sharing stories about, as we call them around here, mountain haunts and boogers, which would basically be haunts and cryptids.
Okay.
And so, so I grew up spending as much time down there with her as I could, as much time in the libraries, and as much time really talking to other old timers and folks in the region, getting their stories. And so I really didn't start investigating until I was much older. Spent a lot of time in cemeteries and such when I was younger, but as far as like actually going out and investigating locations, I didn't really start doing that until about just under 15 years ago.
Okay.
And so I got approached by a gentleman who saw that my background was in photography. And so he reached out to me to look at some different photos that he and his team had captured while they were doing some previous investigations. And so looked at those photos, ended up going on several investigations. And of course, after my first investigation, I was bit by the bug and ended up joining the team. I was with the team for about 8 years. I did their marketing. I put videos together for them, analyzed their photos, and really just investigating. And but while I was investigating with the team, I was really spending a lot of time doing a little more on the urbex side of things, taking my motorcycle out to different haunted historic locations and really highlighting it through photography on my social media sites. And I would even ride my motorcycle to some of the different investigations that we did with the team. But really through talking to some friends, I was kind of talking about riding my bike and how it helps me to really plan the investigations, plan my gear that I'm taking, and really just kind of center and ground myself beforehand. One of my friends was like, you should really document that through video rather than just through the photos. And so kind of got to thinking about it. And I've worked 21 years as a marketing executive. So my marketing mind started going, thinking about logos, thinking about how I would put episodes out if I did do it in video. And back in 2018, I thought, what the heck, I'll give it a try. And here we are rolling into season 6 of the Ghost Biker Explorations web series. And that releases every October, but then I do a weekly live stream where I have guests on, and also now current location owner. So kind of the progression of things from taking this hobby of sorts, and being able to grow and actually turning it into my full-time business.
Yeah, it's funny every time when your show comes on, which is usually I believe Thursdays.
Yes.
Thursday nights, when I see the Ghost Biker Garage, I don't know why my mind automatically goes to Ghost Rider. Remember that movie Ghost Rider with Nicolas Cage?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know why it goes to that, but I think it would have been really cool if you would have named your group Ghost Rider Explorations. I think that would have been incredible.
Well, I thought about that, and
Yeah.
I really didn't want to. I wanted to be number one, and
Yeah.
so if I knew if I named it Ghost Rider, that I would fall beneath on the search engine optimization. So
Yeah,
that's why I
true.
ended up going the
Yeah.
route that I did. Of course, a
Yeah.
lot of people do call me Ghost Rider, though.
Yeah, and I think it fits. Now, obviously, you look nothing like him. I just want to make that clear, people, and especially the people listening on the podcast. She looks nothing like Nicolas Cage. Let's just put that out there. Much more attractive. Much more attractive.
I'll take it.
Sorry,
What kind of bike do you ride, Miranda?
So I ride a 883 iron, a Harley Davidson Sportster. It's a 2011. It's pretty well stripped down. It's kind of a throwback to a 69 bobber style. So it's all matte black, not decked out with anything super flashy, because I like to keep it kind of traditional and stripped down. And so currently that's what I ride on my series, and usually when I'm out exploring. If I'm going somewhere really, really far off, typically I may rent a Harley Davidson Softail Slim. I absolutely love that bike. It's just got a bigger engine, bigger tank, so I can get a little bit further sometimes. So, but maybe adding one of those to the stable here pretty soon.
Wow, that's cool. I've ridden on bikes. I've never been one that wanted a bike. I guess when I was raised, my parents always said, "No, you're never getting a bike. You're never getting a bike." So I think that's why it's inbred in me that no. I love watching people on bikes. I love watching people on bikes. In fact, many years ago, I was in Virginia Beach, and they have a motorcycle parade, and there's like thousands. I think when I was there, I think there were 25,000 bikes going up the strip, and like the sound was deafening.
Yes,
to be honest, and people went inside, like they wanted people to come out and watch, but you would have to wear headphones because some of these bikes were just absolutely louder than loud. But it was an incredible thing to watch with all these bikes going up and down. And I know you do those as well, right? You do those rallies and stuff, because I think I saw something not too long ago on your I think it was on your Facebook page that came through my timeline that you were at a rally. I think it was last weekend. Was it last weekend you did a rally?
No, it's been a little while back.
Yeah.
We did a ride. The funds for that went to a scholarship that was named in honor of my dad. That gave a scholarship to a Scott County high school student going into the field of science, because Dad was a science teacher. I try to do a couple haunted motorcycle rides each year, where I will either partner with Harley Davidson or partner with other like Chamber of Commerce, tourism commissions. We usually incorporate a ride in there, and we'll go to different locations that either have a haunted or just a very, very interesting history. And so we try to incorporate those in, and then the funds from that goes to some type of charity with whoever I'm working with.
Yeah, because when you're doing your podcast at the beginning of their show, there's always seems to be a lot going on. Like you're talking about so much going on, whether it's like coming up this weekend or coming down the road or something like that. And I think it's cool. I think it's cool when you come up and you're talking about all these things that you're doing and go, wow, this chick is busy.
Yeah,
she's a busy girl.
I am, and to kind of step back to what you were talking about with the motorcycle. For me, I've always wanted to ride. My parents were the same way, and where they were just no. And we come from an area here where there are so many places to ride. There's also a lot of off-road type riding as well, and so that leads to a lot of injuries, a lot of deaths, and that sort of thing. And so Mom and Dad was always, you don't need to get you a bike, but
yeah, Yeah, I get it. I get your parents.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
get your parents because um when I was a kid, when I was between the ages of I would say 4 and 9, every summer I would go what was called a summer camp.
Mhm.
And it was just around the corner from me. It was at the school that we go up there and it'd be like tons and tons of kids. Well, one of the leaders I became very close with, and it was probably when I was about 7 or 8. He was driving home from one of the summer camps. Unfortunately, he was killed on his motorcycle,
Mm.
and it was very sad because I became very close with this camp leader.
Yeah.
I also had a very very good friend that unfortunately was killed on a motorcycle.
Mm.
He was the passenger, and they were drinking
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he was also under the influence of drugs, and I guess they did a sharp turn, and yeah, he was killed. The driver wasn't, but the passenger was, and which was really
Mhm.
unfortunate. So I think that's one of the main reasons why my parents said no way, not happening. You don't even think about it. If you go past a bike, just look straight. Don't even look to your right or left. So but I get it, and but you know what, some people just love riding, and I get it.
Yeah.
I get why they love
Yeah,
it.
yeah, and for me, I mean, really, so when I decided to ride, I went and took the MSF course, and
Yeah.
made sure I'm really glad that I learned to ride at an older age because I feel like it helped me to really appreciate that. Because when you're young, you don't always think of the consequences and stuff.
Mhm.
But for me, it really makes a lot of sense combining the two because I really model the way I investigate as to the way that I ride. I mean, I
Mhm.
feel like whenever you're in these locations, you need to surround yourself with, people that you're comfortable with because sometimes you're in situations, you may not, there's certain people you may not want to be around. And it's the
Mhm.
same way with riding. You need to surround yourself with people who know how to ride because if you've got someone on there that's a new rider or a large group of people that's acting a fool, same way with investigating, you'll find yourself in a really bad situation.
Mhm.
Also, you've got to plan your trip. It's the same with the investigating. So
Yeah.
I really kind of parallel the two and, model my style of investigating after the
Yeah,
way I ride, just because you do
yeah,
always have to be on the lookout and you do always have to
I agree.
go into it with a clear mind and your focus being on the tasks that you're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. So your haunted location,
Mhm.
how did that come upon? How did you get involved in becoming an owner of this location? And if you can give us a little bit of history on the jail, that would be great too.
Sure,
And
absolutely.
any residents, spiritual residents there that you know about?
Yes, yes. So, and you never know while we're here and talking, you never know that something may happen. But I am sitting here in the historic Scott County Jail. And so throughout the paranormal, I've really met some of my best friends and got to know some really amazing people. And so about 4 years ago, or excuse me, 5 years ago, after my first season had released of Ghost Biker, my friend and current business partner, Dr. Christy Sumner, she ended up reaching out to me because she'd been watching the show. And so I had actually been watching her videos as well. And so she was congratulating me on my first season. And we really struck up a friendship. We both had the same style of investigating. We're really into the history and we're both bikers. And so we ended up going and investigating Henry River Mill Village in Hickory, North Carolina,
Mm,
and just a great investigation. And so continued to investigate several locations. Fast forward to 2020, whenever all the weirdness here in the world hit,
yeah.
and my position in corporate America was eliminated, and so I started kind of doing freelance and stuff like that while still investigating. But I had the opportunity to move back to my hometown, which is here in Scott County, and so ended up, really trying to figure out what I was going to do if I was going to go back into corporate or what. But this jail had sat vacant since 2008, whenever it closed down and the new jail was opened. And I know that they had gotten a tourism grant in 2017, but they really weren't doing anything with the building. And so Christy and I had talked about doing some haunted motorcycle rides, that because I was already doing them with Ghost Biker, but forming a business doing those and maybe seeing if the jail could be a stop on the tour. And so through found out nothing was going on here. And so I really kind of reached out to Chris and said, I would really love to reach out to the town, see if we can open something here in this location. I knew it was going to be more than what myself could handle. Just wasn't quite sure if it was enough for 2 people, but we put our heads together, determined we wanted to open a true crime museum during the day and a paranormal research center at night, really highlighting a lot of the history that's here in this building and in the county itself. So Chris and I put a plan together. We reached out to the mayor and met with him, and then he wanted us to do a presentation for him and the alderman. And so we came in, I had already designed the logos, designed merchandise, and we had basically a 3-phase plan of what we wanted to do for the location. And they loved the idea. And so so in September of 2021, we opened, and as of this date, we've had a little over 100 teams come in to investigate, and we've had people from all over the world that have come in during the day for our daytime tours and really sharing this history and experiencing the spirits and such that we have here in the jail. It's really quite amazing. As far as resident spirits, so the jail opened in 1904 and was in operation until 2008. So there have been a lot of people that have passed through these doors. And the early inmates, they were moonshiners. This area, moonshine was kind of one of the, I guess you could call it, cash crops of the area. And so we in August of 1925, we had one of our sheriffs. He did get shot right outside the front door, which is just right over here beside where I'm at. He was shot bringing in an inmate, and they believed that it was a moonshiner, because basically he ran under the stance that he was going to make Scott County as dry as the Sahara. And so because he did that, he essentially put a target on his back. So he is one of our resident spirits that we do have a lot of residual as well as intelligent energy that comes from him. He was 6'8", and he was a Baptist preacher. So we have captured shadow figures. We've captured activity that does correlate with, with moonshine, as well as religious, playing old hymns, that sort of thing tends to trigger activity. Also, around here, we kind of have something known as Mob Mountain Justice. And, throughout its existence, especially during the early 1900s, we've had, that we know of, at least 7 inmates who have been taken out of here from the jail by masked mobs of people, and either lynched or executed on different places on the property. Essentially, justice didn't move quick enough, and so different people decided to break in and take justice into their own hands. So we do get activity from those individuals. Plus, we've had a lot of natural deaths, heart attacks, strokes, and then of course suicides that have taken place here in the jail as well. It's kind of hard to pinpoint the exact number of deaths that have taken place here at the jail, but it definitely has an amazing history once you kind of start to drill down on things. And as the picture shows here, we are in a sandstone castle here in the middle of the mountains of East Tennessee.
It's incredible. It really is incredible. Like, I love it. Like, visually, it's just amazing. I might get rid of the Pepsi.
We don't have that. That's an old picture. We don't. That was when
the Pepsi machine kind of ruins it, but no. But I'm glad
we don't have that. That's actually a very old picture. Whenever the jail was in operation, because there's actually showing a building in the back. That's one of our more current pictures, and the third one right there on the top Yeah, that's
That's
one that we use in a lot of our marketing.
okay.
That's amazing.
Okay.
So basically the
1904.
first the first floor was the original jailer's quarters. So early on, it was a law here in the South that the jailers had to live so close to the jail. So that's why a lot of the time you'll either see people who, jailers who either live on the property or they live on the build or in the building there. Sometimes they'll be like an individual house. But up until 1971, the jailers and their families lived on the bottom floor. And then after that, and that's actually a picture, I believe, from our grand opening.
Okay.
And then after that, they converted those rooms into sales as well as the drunk tanks, the intake area. And so then the second story is the trustee level. That would be the inmates who maintain the jail, maintained the roads, the sheriff's vehicles, that sort of thing. And then the
So
third
right here,
floor
you're
is,
talking about right here.
yeah, and then
This
the
right
third
here?
floor is maximum security.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. It's
Amazing.
just, you know what? It just looks incredible. It really,
Yeah.
really does. And it looks like you guys have, you girls, sorry, guys, you girls have done, you've done a wonderful job. Was there anything that you had to do to it to really bring it up to code or anything like that? Or was it fine? Or was it just a turnkey and you were able to go in and open?
So in 2017, Scott County gave the jail to the town of Huntsville. And so
Okay.
the town of Huntsville got a tourism grant in 2017 for $75,000 to come in, add new windows, really freshen it up, paint things, because at the time, so I had investigated it in 2014 after
Oh,
it
so
had,
you had been there. You
I
had been
had.
there already. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
And so I knew it was active, but at that time, I mean, paint was hanging off the walls like basically like streamers, and it was in very rough shape. They got the tourism grant. They really came in and fixed it up. They just weren't sure what they were going to do with it. So it had still sat about 5 years without anything being done. Now, when we came in, it really needed a lot of cleaning. It also
go.
needed, so it needed cleaning. It needed freshening up. I think the Beta Club had used it as a haunted house for a couple years at Christmas, or excuse me, at Halloween to raise money for their school trips and such. But I mean, it was in relatively good condition, minus the cleaning and such, because they had done an amazing job when they got the tourism grant. Now, as far as the museum, I mean, the jail was basically sitting as just an empty shell. And so I think there were a couple shanks that were in here in a display case that had been confiscated. But we have got 3 whole floors of newspaper articles, of artifacts that the community have either donated or put on loan. We've got a 8-foot timeline. Very, very proud of this piece. We actually just won 4 awards for our museum from the Tennessee Association of Museums. And we won an award for that timeline. The timeline shows all of our sheriffs and jailers from the year they went into service until we ended up taking the jail over. So when the county was established in 1849, that's when our timeline starts. We also talk about all of our local fallen officers. We talk about the deaths that we know of that have taken place here. So all of this is listed on the timeline. We also just won awards for our audio tour that we have. So all of these things works as really
incredible.
Good resources for our paranormal investigators that come in. And we also have an escape room in here. You know, we opened up one of the cell blocks so you can come in and really just trying to create things. We're in a very, very rural area. And so we're really trying to create things for people to do, as well as bringing other people to the area and giving them something to do whenever you've got these investigators and stuff that travel from all over the world to come and investigate.
Do you still and being you're there all the time, do you still investigate that place every so often, or you just go, no, I'm done with it. I'll let everybody else investigate. I know what's here. So do you still investigate the place just to?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I actually highlighted it. So in season 5 that came out last year, I did. I usually try to theme my episodes, and so I did haunted jails. And haunted jails are much different than haunted prisons. We're just 45 minutes down the road from Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary, which is an amazing place to investigate, and one of my favorites. But we're the first stop, and county jails are so different because they're always in the county seat, and they're also they house such a variety of inmates. They could be ones who have just done simple crimes, but also murderers. We're the stop before they're sent on to the prisons or penitentiaries.
Yeah.
So we did highlight this location in season 5, and got some incredible activity. We actually did it as a live, and we'll do lives from here at the jail. But between Chris and myself, we're both in here up to 16 hours a day with our day tours and our night tours. And so, and some of the things we've experienced, you kind of hesitate to tell teams when they come, because some of them, of what we've experienced as well as other investigators, is so off the charts. But, not everybody is going to experience that.
Yeah.
So you hate to put that out there. Sometimes you want to tell what's going on, but you don't want to get somebody's hopes up if they have kind of a more subtle night. And
that's investigating.
Mm-hmm.
That's investigating. Unfortunately, that's the field that you can have a real busy night one night, and then the next night it can be completely dead. And that's just, unfortunately, that's
no
just
pun intended.
the luck. No pun intended. But that's just the luck of the draw, and it's interesting. Go ahead, Sarah. Go ahead.
Have you got security cameras up everywhere, or do you do a live cam every so often?
What was that again? Sorry, my headphone.
Have you got security cameras up to just, on the off chance to capture any evidence? And do you do a live cam?
So we do have security cameras up. We don't typically do a live cam. The only time that we'll do lives is when we're actively investigating. We have kicked that around, but being in a solid sandstone building, it's really hard unless we get some Wi-Fi extenders. It's really hard for us to have that streaming up on the second and third floor, because the blocks are 4 by 5 by 6 foot thick blocks. So, so service can be kind of sketchy outside of the booking room here and our gift shop in the other room. But now we actually this week, on Thursday, we released a new video that we captured on our security camera footage. Just a few minutes ago, our jail cat Sally, she hopped up here on the table. She always pops up. But she lives here. She stays here on the first floor at night. We close all the other floors off. And when I came in on Thursday morning, she was actually in the gift shop. Now, when we're closed on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, either myself or Christy will come by and still feed her. And so when I saw her on Wednesday, everything was fine. When I come in Thursday, she's in the gift shop. Now, the gift shop was a former cell, and so that door is an extremely thick door. There's no edging around it, so you can't get your claw or hand or anything in between. You have to pull the handle to open it, and it's in at least a 60-pound door. Now, I went back because I thought, oh my gosh, did I go in to get her food in there or do something and leave her in? So I go back, review my security camera footage, and I obviously did not leave her in there. Now, at 5:12 on Thursday morning, we saw that something comes up, opens the door just a little bit, does that twice, and on the third time opens the door almost completely all the way and actually puts the cat into the room, because she sort of comes in backwards and is just, she is absolutely pissed off. She is meowing. She is so upset. Wow. And she was in there until I came in to open the museum just a couple hours later that morning. And so we've released it, and it's actually been one of our most viewed videos because Sally is so loved here. And it's incredible because when you zoom in on her, you can see that something sits her in the room. It's really wild. And then her reaction from it. So we get a lot of stuff that happens like that here at the jail. And we're just very fortunate that, our security cameras were able to pick that up.
Wow, that's cool. That's very cool. So
Yeah.
where can we find that? Where can we find that video?
I do have that one posted on the Ghost Biker Explorations Facebook page, but then
Okay.
also on the Historic Scott County Jail Facebook page and YouTube channel has
Cool. Very
some
cool.
things that have been captured here. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. So
Wow.
just getting back to the investigation part
Mhm.
of yourself.
Mhm.
Do you have an investigation coming up or an investigation that you can talk about that you'd like to share with everyone that you've done recently?
So I'm filming for season 6 right now, which is going to come out in October. So I can't say a whole lot about the locations that I'm
Okay.
filming at. I did just recently film in Kentucky at a location. I don't know if this one is going to be part of season 6 or not, but I was asked to come in. This location was a former hospital, and then it was a
Okay.
bank, and now it's getting ready to turn into something else. So there was a very short, limited period of time. I don't know if it's opened as this other location, so I don't really want to say that just yet. But I was able to come in with 3 other teams, and I did this one as a solo investigation with the tourism commissioner of the location there in Kentucky, and conduct an investigation to see if we captured some things. And so I do know the other teams did capture some stuff. I know we had a couple really incredible captures. So this will go out as a video, just not sure if it's going to be part of season 6. But I
Okay.
absolutely love it whenever we're called into places that aren't paranormal locations, and get to go in, see if we can either help figure out some of the things that the owners have been experiencing or kind
Yeah.
of help fill in the pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to represent with Global Ghost Hunt. Some of these locations that are not very popular
Yeah.
and get their name out there
Mhm.
because they're struggling. They're
Yeah.
struggling to stay open for whatever the reason may be. It could be vandalism. It could be anything, financial, which is usually financial most of the time
Mhm.
because they're not getting the people out. So that's one of the reasons why I created Global Ghost Hunt, is to get these locations that are no names, and we're definitely getting no name places that
Yeah.
people haven't heard of and
Yeah.
are getting popular, and so I can appreciate what you're saying there.
Mhm.
But yeah, Sarah, you want to go ahead?
Yeah. Your YouTube channel is absolutely mint. Your filming, your editing's fantastic.
Thank you.
It is a great watch. And also, I did steal an idea from you. I must admit, when I watch about what equipment you use, you like to use like the spirit box. But there
Yeah.
was one idea that I did not even think of. I think you either wrote it on a bit of paper or a chalkboard, and you showed it to the camera, and the door was open behind you, and it said "shut the door." And I'm
Mhm.
thinking, how basic is that? But
Mhm.
what a great idea. But also, what is your favorite piece of equipment?
Probably I really have two, and I love the EDI Plus box because I always keep that one with me anytime I'm investigating because I like to see temperature fluctuations. Also, I've noticed that anytime there's pressure change, things tend to happen. So I like to be able to have that with me if I'm using flashlights, if I'm using the rods, if I'm using even just a simple recorder. I like to have that to see if anything happens atmospherically whenever there's some type of activity. My other favorite would probably have to be the dowsing rods because they are so simple. They're very old school. A lot of the spirits that I deal with at the different locations, they're very familiar with these tools. They knew them from back whenever you would use them to find water. You're not asking them to manipulate some type of energy. You're not asking them to do really anything other than move the rods. So they are familiar. We don't even know if they can see color, so whenever we're telling them to turn the green light to red or something like that, we don't know if they can see that. We
Mm.
also, when we're asking them to touch a light, if you're talking to a spirit from the early 1900s, they may associate a light with a candle, and you're not supposed to touch that. So that's why I really like the rods because they are very basic. They're very old school. And then you also don't have to worry about battery drain. But I do
This is
like
true.
to combine the rods with other methods. Like I like to do them blindfolded. I like to print out pictures, try to take that human element. Now, it's kind of a catch-22 because the rods, you are essentially kind of working as the medium there. But also, if somebody is watching it on video, if they're not sitting there doing it themselves, they can be kind of skeptical of the rods and think, oh, well, you're twitching and moving them, or, you know, doing something to manipulate the rods. So to kind of take that element out, one of the things that I like to do, so if I'm investigating here at the jail, print out either pictures of some of the spirits that we communicate with, or print out pictures of just a random, I don't know, say for instance, a dog or something. Have those pictures scattered throughout by somebody. Blindfold yourself, sit there, and then start asking directional questions, asking, you know, can you point the rods to the dog in the picture?
Wow.
And so if the spirits can see, if they're aware, and if they're intelligent, you're not going to know where that's at. So you're not even really going to know where you are in orientation to that. So when the rods start moving, you know, it just kind of takes that element out. So I like to do experiments and stuff like that with the rods. You know, and also it does kind of tend to show that the spirits, and we get a lot of that here at the jail, that the spirits are aware and that they can see and know a lot of what's going on. And I'm just speaking from the ones here, but that is one of the tests I like to do, using the simple whiteboard, seeing if spirits, you know, rather than saying, you know, can you finish this knock, and doing that, write on a piece of paper, knock, you know, can you do this? And really kind of take that power of suggestion out. If, you know, if you're using a spirit box, if you're using an app, if you're using anything that can pull from a microphone, take that power of suggestion out. And I try to do different stuff like that whenever I go to these different locations.
I think you would have to do that in certain locations, because let's be honest, like when you're going early 1900s, 1800s, a lot of people didn't know how to read.
Yeah.
Some don't. Yeah.
So, you know, you definitely have to do that in different circumstances. Like if you were going into a place that's a known spirit from the early 1800s, more than likely they probably can't read. So you would have to really adapt. Are you one of those people that you really go into a situation where you take a look around, you get the information, and then you go from there on how you're going to do the investigation?
I do, because being on the motorcycle, I'm very limited with the equipment that I take on the investigation. And so I always like to take trigger items for that location. I like to know the history. I spend as much time researching. I actually triple my time researching beforehand as I do for the investigation. Now, once it comes to the location, I don't really want to know what other people capture, because I don't want to be influenced in that way. And an example of that, I did Willow's Weep up in Cayuga, Indiana, and that location has a reputation of being one of the most evil homes in America. Now, I wanted to know the history. I wanted to know certain things, but I didn't want to read the owner of the location's book, or I didn't want to hear the experiences that these other people had. So when I went in, I had a much different experience than what these, well, I read the book afterwards and watched several of the documentaries. I had a much different experience than what other people had there. And I feel like I wasn't influenced. There was some similarities, but there was a lot of differences as well. And so I will go and look after the fact, but I just really don't want to be influenced by the, now I'm not a psychic medium or anything like that. So it's not that I don't necessarily want to know the hot spots necessarily. It just depends on the location. I don't mind, because I am a solo investigator, I don't mind knowing some of the hot spots. I just really don't want to know what other people have captured, because I want to have my own experience and not be influenced.
Yeah, me and Lex are a lot alike. We don't really want to know anything about the location, because you're right. I think you can be heavily influenced if you know what's going on with everything that's going on in the building. Like, I don't even want to know, most of the time I don't even want to know people's names. Like if they captured names, I don't want to know that. And I know there was a couple times where when I was out in the UK last year investigating with Sarah and her group.
Yeah.
Me and Lex didn't really want to know a lot of the
Mhm.
information going into the places, but and I think it's better. I think it's better because you could be, like you said earlier, and you know what you were talking about. You discovered something else that they didn't know. Maybe we're going to discover something else
Well,
that
and
they didn't know.
I think it depends on the people and the place, because when it
Yeah.
comes to history, I want to know that history because I want to know who I'm talking to. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to find other people that's
Okay.
there. As far as the actual legit history that is documented, I want to know that
Okay.
because I feel that better helps me to come in, one, not waste the spirit's time in the location I'm at, and really kind of know how to approach that investigation. Now, when we have teams come in, like the team tonight, now one of us, either myself or Christy, is always on site. We're on site, but out of sight here. And
Yeah.
so we do, for our insurance purposes, we have to give an orientation tour, basically showing the light switches, that sort of thing, exits and stuff. Now, we always ask the teams, do you want to know the history? Do you want to know the history and hotspots? And we tailor our tour to that. We have some teams come in and they say absolutely nothing. I'll tell you, the most annoying thing in the world is when you spend the time giving a tour to a team, they say we don't want to know anything.
Oh.
And then at 3:00 in the morning, when it's time to leave, they want you to sit down and they want to tell, or they want to hear what's been captured. And it's like, no.
Here's a pamphlet.
Yeah, it's
See you
time
later.
to go home. We've been here 6.5 hours. You should have asked in the middle of the day or middle of the
That's funny.
tour.
That's funny.
But
So
we have
you've
teams
definitely
that wanna
learned a
know.
lot.
Yeah.
You've learned a lot. Sorry for cutting you off there.
No.
You've definitely learned a lot while opening with this location that you guys are running right now. I think it's incredible. So now is the time where Sarah is going to try to convince you to get your location signed up for the Global Ghost Hunt.
Well, yeah.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Well, we've got teams from Tennessee. That's the thing. We need to call out.
Well,
these teams
I'm sure they
Maybe
know
we could put
plenty
a
of
poster
I know a team in Tennessee.
on your wall.
You know
you've got investigations.
who's not too far from Tennessee.
Who's that?
That would be Raymond.
Oh,
He's in Kentucky,
he's the flipping location,
which is
We
right
have-
next door.
We actually have hundreds of teams here in Tennessee. Tennessee
Yeah,
is
there you go.
super saturated. Plus, Christy and myself have our teams too.
You know what you guys could do? You guys could do your own investigation at your own haunted location. You guys know what and I know because you have trouble with the Wi-Fi. We also accept recordings. That's why our Global Ghost Hunt is 10 days, because there are people going into locations that are unable to go live. So they record it and we give them 2 hours. They get 2 hours to do their investigation. And they record it, they send it to us, and it goes up as part of the Global Ghost Hunt. So I think I did it, Sarah.
Well done. I just want to quickly touch on another subject before.
Yeah.
You're an amazing artist. And you remember you telling me a story about how you was doing a bit of spot doodling on location. And would you tell Bryan, because I find this so fascinating.
I do. I just got to say, I'm not psychic. I'm not a medium. But every now and then, I'm at a location, I will kind of see things and stuff, especially if I'm sitting in a room just doing a quiet EVP session, listening to a white noise maker, that sort of thing. But I kind of got to thinking, what if I drew some of the things I was seeing? And it's almost kind of like automatic writing in a way. And I never see the full figure of the person or whatever it is I'm drawing. It's usually more features, more descriptive, that sort of thing. And I started putting my tools out in front and, trying to validate what I would see, asking questions and seeing if the tools would light up. And so I did this on 5 different occasions, and I'm looking to maybe kind of start doing it again, but did it on 5 different occasions, ended up drawing a person that I ended up meeting the next day from Octagon Hall. We did talk about that in season 4 and showed the video. But I did draw in the downstairs winter kitchen. And what I always tell the spirits when I sit down, explaining to them what I want to do, show me something that I can identify, whether it be through research afterwards or whatever. I truly did not expect to draw somebody living that I met the very next day. And he was even wearing the exact same hat. It was a pretty wild experience.
That's
and
crazy.
So out of the 5, I've been able to match 3 of the drawings up with someone either at the location or somebody that at one point in time was connected. So that's one of the reasons why I don't necessarily, if I'm doing a residential or doing a different type of location rather than just a standard commercial location, I don't want to know certain things for that purpose.
Interesting. Yeah. So your podcast.
Yes.
How did the podcast come about? And I said it earlier for people that are just coming in the room. Every time I see you, the can't talk. The show's coming on, Ghost Biker Garage. I think of Ghost Rider right away. But how did your podcast start? Was the podcast more about because of your business, because of the Scotts County Jail? Is that how it began? Or was it more you were just interested in doing a podcast and just bringing on different guests?
I mean, really for me, it started as more of a way to release more content, really, because I started my season in 2000, or Ghost Biker Explorations in 2018. Comes out every October, every Tuesday night, and then it's followed by a live stream on Thursday night called Behind the Screams, where we talk about the episode, talk about the equipment and that sort of thing. Because a lot of the people who watch the show, they're not paranormal investigators. They're either enthusiasts, bikers, or historians. So I really didn't want to spend the real estate of my series talking about what I was doing, but really interacting with the people who watched the show. And I really enjoyed that Thursday night interaction because people would come on, they had some great questions. They started as recorded, but then turned into live streams. And so when you release a season, now I put work in it all year long, building up to that October, because I'm a solo investigator. It's self-produced, and all the stuff I'm doing myself, minus if I have a videographer with me. Now, I needed a way to release more content rather than just because you'd put it out in October, people would be upset because nothing else was coming out to the next October. You kind of start to become irrelevant. And so when everybody was at home in 2020, I had a lot of people that were asking me, what are you watching? What are you listening to? And I was doing a lot of podcasts at the time. And so I thought, why don't I create a platform where because the people who watch my show are fantastic. They love going and finding these content creators and following their stuff. And so I started really just inviting people who were, I kind of stay away from just investigating teams. I really like to have podcasters, authors, location owners, teams who are doing things in the community. So I kind of really other content creators, because as a content creator, it's really hard to get that you put all this work into something. It's hard to get that word out. And so I just always say sometimes it's just not been reached by the right audience. So I look at it as a way to open up my audience to people that I find interesting. Plus, I learn a lot of stuff from the people who are on. So I've been doing it for 3 years now, or this is going on the 3rd year. And it really just came as a way to really just be releasing more content and making more connections here in the paranormal community. I'll stop with the podcast once October hits, and I'll open it up because I'll have my show as well as my Thursday nights. And then we'll probably take off until the end of the year and then start back up again in January. But for now, it's every Thursday night at 9 p.m.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. And again, it's on Parapost 2 International. Yes. And thank you for coming over to coming over to that platform or that page, because it's been a lot of fun to watch. And to be honest, until you came onto that page, I hadn't seen any of your stuff.
Yeah.
And now I'm watching your stuff because you brought your podcast over, and I'm enjoying it. And it's a lot of fun. What's that, Sarah?
You'll be hooked. Me and Nando love watching that.
Oh, I'm already hooked.
Oh.
I'm already hooked. Yeah, for sure. I'm already hooked. But Sarah, you want to go ahead?
Yeah. Oh gosh. What's your most scariest moment?
Probably, I don't find I really have too many scary moments at the locations because, now getting startled, yes. But probably my most scariest would be whenever, so in season 1 and season 2, I highlighted a location known as the house on Sunset Hill. So I like to investigate mostly local legends and stories that are maybe more regionally known, not so much nationally known. And so I was covering this story out of Charleston, Tennessee, which was about a monk who had perished in a train wreck. And a local doctor had taken his body to his house, dissolved the skin from the bones in this bathtub, and then used the skeleton in his doctor's practice. And so I'd gone to the train wreck site. I'd done a lot of research on the train wreck, went to that site, did an investigation there, and then went to my videographer, Josh. He had a connection with someone who had purchased this alleged tub from a estate sale at the doctor's home. So I'm not saying it's the tub, but it's right around the right time period, and it was purchased from that family. Now, this tub sat in an abandoned home, and so while we were filming season 1, episode 2, and doing the B-roll, we kept getting so much activity from that tub. We weren't sure if it was just coming from the tub or the home. And so that home turned into a year-long case study. We were able to go into the house. No one lived there. No one had lived there for about 12 years. And so the homeowner basically let us come in and use it as a paranormal research center there where we could come and conduct experiments. And it really became an obsession for me. And so, the homeowner had told about some things that she and her family had experienced there in the 70s and 80s. So throughout that time period, we cover it in season 1 and season 2, all the way to where a demonologist ends up coming into the home, cleaning the home. He lets us film and record it. Some of the things we captured during the cleansing was something that was really fascinating and unlike anything I'd ever experienced. But my scariest moment was probably when we played the homeowner's voice. We had just come off of a live, and I had pre-recorded some questions in my own voice that some of the audience had sent in asking, and then also the homeowner, because one of the spirits liked to mimic her deceased husband. And so in her voice, we recorded some questions. As soon as I turned that recorder on, the floor started shaking beneath me and all the tools inside the entire house starts going off. Now, thankfully, we did have cameras going, but I have never had the floor shake. And so when we go outside of the house, we're doing our prayer of protection. We look up and you can literally see the lights going off in the entire house. And so that's probably the scariest. And that's just to kind of sum it up in a nutshell, because it's a big, long case that we did cover those 2 seasons. But that probably would have to be my scariest experience, because you really see the power that some of these entities possess.
Yeah. So I put up a comment there by Janet. When you see those type of comments, what is your reaction? Like, seriously, like, I never ask anybody this, but when I have a guest on the show and there's so many amazing compliments coming up for that guest, how does that make you feel?
It's really humbling that somebody takes the time to sit and watch your content that you put out, or that's interested enough to follow your adventures and, and listen to your stories. So it really is truly humbling. what Janet is talking about was it is definitely some of my best evidence to date that I have ever captured. And of all times, I captured it while I was sleeping, because I do like to sleep at these locations when I can, just to see if the activity is different.
I don't understand why people want to do that, to be honest.
Well, because I had investigated a full night,
Yeah.
and I had to go. It was part of a 2
Were you
night.
you weren't by yourself though at
Yeah, I
that
was by
point? No.
myself.
You
Oh
see,
my.
Yeah.
yeah, see, I love paranormal. I love investigating. I love doing all those amazing things and going to these amazing places. But I would rather go to the place where I'm meant to sleep
I think
than actually sleeping in the
Well,
location.
for me, I feel like I'm very interested to see what we bring into these locations and how the activity at these locations is affected by what we bring in.
Yeah.
So when we come in and we're actively investigating, we're bringing our own baggage, we're bringing our own energy and our own personality into these locations. And sometimes, being a strong female, I'm always very respectful, but being a strong female, when you go to a certain area that either is primarily male or in a time frame where females really didn't have a voice, you may not get interaction from these spirits. And it
Yeah.
could be for that reason.
Yeah.
Now, when you put yourself in a more vulnerable state, it's confusing, for one, as to what you're doing in this location. You're also, so I was sleeping in solitary confinement. It was essentially putting myself into the situation and using myself as a trigger item, because that's what they would have done inside this particular area. But then also, it was creating a space where these entities in there, who might not have communicated with me otherwise, have an opportunity to communicate. So I like to sort of just try those different techniques. Plus, can call it lazy investigating or whatever, but if you're going to not be actively investigating, have a recorder, have a video camera there. While you're doing that, why not capture? Because sometimes we catch the best stuff when we're not actively investigating.
Yeah.
That's also why a lot of the time I will also pre-record questions and put items out, just to see if the spirits, or if they're reacting. I'll go in, I'll investigate, asking questions, and see if it reacts the same way as to when it's just playing a recorder, and whether it's something I'm bringing in with my energy or not.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm.
I agree.
Right.
And do you think when you're walking into before I get to the final question, do you think when you're in a jail and you're sleeping in a jail and it's primarily it was a jail for men? And
Brushy
then
Mountain was.
yeah. So
This was male or female.
oh, okay. So
Yeah.
so then just your thought then on this. If you're walking into a jail doing an investigation on a jail or whatever, county jail, whatever it is, and it's been mainly men, do you think sleeping in that jail, you're going to get a much more response because it was mainly a man's jail and a woman is sleeping there?
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
think there's a possibility of something maybe not just like an EVP, like something actually happening, like maybe even a physical touch?
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
yeah.
I think it's very possible, and you don't know until you try. I know, like, we don't allow people. I mean, if somebody wants to sleep during their investigation time, they're more than welcome to sleep during their time. But I mean, we can't allow sleepovers here for our insurance purposes.
Okay.
But yeah, if a location, if I'm somewhere that allows me to be there overnight, that I don't have an outward time that I have to be, it's like, why not investigate
Yeah.
as long as you can? And then if you're going to have to lay down and sleep anyways, why not see if it does invoke some kind of different response? Because I can name at least 3 places that I've slept at that the responses have been very, very much different when I've had the camera on me at night or morning whenever I was sleeping for those couple hours than when I was actively investigating. It may not be more evidence, but it's definitely different and brings kind of a different flair to it. So
Only,
why not?
I don't.
Early hours in the morning.
I've seen so many videos where the person just left the camera in the room and there's so much going on. Like there's a bang here, there's a movement here, there's an EVP here, and you're right. And you know, there's been many times where I've left the camera in the room and let it go, and you know, you get stuff. And even when last year I was at Octagon Hall last November in Tennessee.
Kentucky
or Kentucky, sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to correct myself there in Kentucky, where we left the camera downstairs and you can hear things going on.
Yeah.
That you might not have heard if you were walking around doing an investigation. But Octagon Hall is for me personally, and I've talked about this many times, on a scale of 1 to 10, for me, Octagon Hall's an 11.
Yeah,
because there's so much going on in that place. Like, and I'll tell you this little story before I get to my final question. When I was with some other people, we walked in, we were listening to Bear. It was Bear there. Have you been to Octagon Hall?
Oh, many times. That was my first travel location, and Bear is a very
part
of
your series, right?
It has been on my series, yes.
So when we first walked in and Bear was talking to us, me and this other person, his name was Adam, we were standing there listening to him, and we both heard it at the same time. Now, I don't know if you've heard this because you've been there many times. We heard what sounded like somebody was being dragged along the floor in the basement, and it sounded like they had chains wrapped around them.
Wow.
And we both heard it at the same time. It was crazy. That place is like, from the minute we walked in, from the minute we left, we were getting activity, and we were there for almost 14 hours.
Yeah.
And so there was one point, we were standing in the main room where you can set up all your equipment, and you know, that big long table there, you know, there's a cabinet right here, like right to the right.
Yeah.
And I was standing, and to the left. The cabinet was right to my left. I was probably about 7 feet away from it, 6 feet away from it. And all of a sudden, me and Adam were talking, and all of a sudden I heard this sound like a door going, like moving back and forth. We looked to our left. One of the cabinet doors, just one, was moving like something was trying to open it.
Wow.
Of course, we didn't have our camera going because we were setting up our equipment to start investigating. But Octagon Hall, I'm telling you, and I recommend anybody has the opportunity to go to Octagon Hall. It is an amazing place to investigate. And like, even downstairs in the TAC room, we were standing outside the TAC room, and I heard a chain. Hitting a wall, and everybody else did too. So we went in the TAC room. The chain that was hanging from the wall, from the ceiling, it was moving against the wall, like something was actually physically moving it.
Yeah, I mean, that place is so special, and actually really cool. They so I did a drawing of Octagon Hall and gave to Bear, and I'm not sure when you were there, but they did this last fall. They actually made a new sign, and they used my drawing as
that's cool.
their sign.
I was there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was there last November.
Okay, so it would have probably been up.
Okay.
At that point, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
that's very, 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 very
And
cool.
and what's fascinating too about that is, so Bear had my drawing hanging there at the stairway, and the day that I came to investigate for my series, it fell off the wall. Just before I came. Yeah.
Wow.
And so
That's
he was having to hang it back
crazy.
up. Yeah. Just as I got there. Yeah.
That's crazy. So the last question, final question. And I tell you, this has been a blast. I've really enjoyed this.
You're so cute.
What's that? What?
You're so cute.
So last question is, and everybody, I think everybody likes to ask this question or likes to answer this question. And you know, it's funny, since we started asking this question probably about a year and a half ago, I've started noticing other shows starting to ask the exact same question at the end of their show. So I guess that's kind of flattering, right? But I like when Lex is on the show. because he twists it in a certain way, because he's listened to everything that like, for example, you have said. Anyway, so I'm just saying it normally. I'm sorry, folks. I can't twist it into anything. But if I were to give you a bag full of money and you could go anywhere in the world to investigate, where would that be and why?
For me being, and I've said this before, but I'm actually going to expand on it a little bit just because it's a big bag of money. So essentially, I would take off on a motorcycle trip across country. I've always said Route 66, but I would hit all of the famous roads, the Pacific Coast Highway, the Mississippi Blues Trail, the Natchez Trace. I would hit all of these roads on my motorcycle and hit the little waypoints, doing little mini investigations along the way, documenting the travels, and sleeping where I could, but basically hitting these little locations, trying to see if these stories that are along these amazing roads across America are truly what they claim to be.
Yeah, that's
Great
awesome.
series.
I've always thought about doing it in a RV.
Oh yeah.
Not a motorcycle.
Yeah.
I'd love to travel across Canada or even the States, hitting
Yeah.
all these locations in an RV. At least I have a place to sleep. I won't be sleeping in the location. I'll go out to the RV and sleep there. So, but I value my sleep. And I think if I was sleeping at a location, it would be one eye closed and one eye open. So, because I think that's really what you would do in a location, right? I'd never slept in a location. So I would imagine that if you're in a location, that's how it looks. One eye open, one eye closed.
For me, it's the best sleep I've ever had. For me, I mean,
Really?
it's
That sounds
at
really
Brushy
nice.
Mountain. Yeah, Brushy Mountain. I mean, you're in the hole. It's dark. It was in when I did it, it was in April, and so it was very, very comfortable. I didn't think I'd be able to sleep, and I did. When I slept at the funeral home down there in Kosciuszko, Mississippi, I slept actually twice there, and got some really great stuff. And basically, um, you know, I laid down and I just kind of take myself into a calm state. And most of the time I am out, and I don't know if it's paranormal, but most of the time I don't even know I'm asleep until I wake up, and it's usually an hour or so later.
Wow. Yeah, I'm one of those people. I can fall asleep just like that.
Yeah.
I can very, very easily. Like, I put my head down on the pillow and I'm gone
Same.
within a minute.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's. I heard that's not very healthy. I actually heard that's not. It was a doctor that told me it has a name, and I can't recall what the name is. But anyways, you know, I've enjoyed this, and I don't think I've ever said this to any of my guests on the show, and I'm going to say this for the very first time. And it's not to say that none of the other guests have been amazing, because they have been, but I'm a fan.
Well, thank you.
I'm a fan.
Thank you.
I'm a fan of you, and I'm giddy. I'm giddy right now. Yeah, I don't know why. I definitely I've really enjoyed this. I enjoyed having you on, and I could probably go on for another 2 hours with you and just talking, but it's been a lot of fun. But I'm going to say my goodbyes. I want to say thank you for coming on today's show, and
Thank you.
I would love to bring you on again down the road, maybe after your October
Absolutely.
thing, and we could talk a little bit about that, and or dive into that more, because I definitely want to have you on the show again, because I really think Lex would enjoy speaking with you as well. And
Absolutely.
it's people, and I don't want this to come off wrong, and I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to, but it's people like you that other people can learn from.
100%.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And I hope people share this out. I hope people enjoyed the show, and watch this show, share it out, because this has been a show that I'm going to remember for a very long time. And I appreciate you coming up, and I look forward to having you on again. So I'm going to say my goodbyes. Sarah?
Just remember, Miranda, when you're like your famous investigator, remember that who the one that was true to you, your number one fan is sat right here.
That's right.
Girl, you're amazing.
Well, thank you. You and Nando have just been fantastic, and I have loved from the moment we met. Any opportunity that we're able to chat with each other is just, and I feel like I learned from you guys so much. So thank you, and thank you, Bryan, so much for your kind words and for having me on the show. I've really enjoyed it. Folks, go watch the past 5 seasons of Ghost Biker Explorations. You can watch it for free, binge watch it, get ready for season 6 that will be coming out, because fingers crossed that's going to be up and ready in here.
I was gonna say, you want to plug anything while before I let you go? Yeah.
Definitely check that out on the Ghost Biker Explorations Facebook page, YouTube channel, and www.ghostbikerexplorations.com. And if you're here in the East Tennessee area, come check out the historic Scott County Jail and our newest venture that we just opened, Historic Rugby After Dark Tours and Investigations. So definitely come and check out.
I am planning to come out to Tennessee, because I was out in Tennessee last November, and we did Bobby Mackey's, we did Octagon Hall. We were supposed to do a few other places, never ended up happening. We did those 2 places, which was enough for me, to be honest. But I am planning to go out to Tennessee, but I'm definitely going to message you and say I'm coming out there. I'd love to check out this county jail. It looks cool from the pictures. But I'm definitely looking forward to having you back on this show down the road.
I look forward to it
after your series. But again, thank you for coming on today's show, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Yes, and thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you.
Wow,
she's amazing.
That was a lot of fun. That was fun, and it's true what I said. This is one show I'm going to definitely remember. She just had so much information, and an elegant speaker, if you ask me.
Definitely.
And I enjoyed it. Yeah, full of knowledge, and I definitely enjoyed it, and I look forward to having her. And it's true what I said. I think Lex would really enjoy talking with her as well. And
definitely.
Yeah, but I have to thank you.
I know.
I have to thank you for coming out and filling in for Lex, and hopefully Lex will be back sometime soon. But I'll let everybody know when he's back. But
miss that beardy weirdo.
Yeah, thank you again for coming on today's show. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna see who I'm gonna have next week, and see who I'm going to have as a co-host. I'm not sure at this moment right now. So, but thank you.
No problem. It's been an honor. Thank you, Bryan.
Yeah, thank you. And I want to thank everybody that came into the room today. And if you can, go over. I left some of Miranda's links in the description. So go over and click on those and go follow her page. I put her website up there as well. So you definitely want to check out that and check out her series. And hopefully she said October, right? The series for series 6 is coming in October. Yeah. So you definitely want to follow that. And if you live in the Tennessee or Kentucky area, check out their location. It seems like a real cool spot. And Miranda's still in the back there listening. So Miranda, again, www.globalghosthunt.com if you want to sign up your haunted location. And if you want to investigate as part of the Global Ghost Hunt at this location, you can do that as well. Because I think it'd be a great place. Now, understand that if you are going to investigate there, you're probably going to have to film it and then record it, and then we'll have to put it up during the 10 days of the Global Ghost Hunt. So, but it looks like I only saw the outside, but it looks like, it looks incredible. But I want to say thank you for everyone that came in the show today, all the lovely comments that were being said, and hopefully we'll see you next week. I'm just not sure at this point right now. I like to leave it as a surprise. So by Thursday and Friday, if you haven't seen anything yet, More likely not coming up. But again, everyone, thank you for coming and watching, and it means a lot to me. Obviously, it means a lot to Sarah and Lex as well. And hopefully, we'll see you next week. But if we don't, we'll see you the week after. Okay. Everybody have a great day. Thank you again, Sarah.
Ciao for now. Bye.